Good day, YouTubers. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. Chickens are calling. So, we're doing some cannons this week. Guns. Blast them. We got one ready, except for the harness strap, which is a simple piece compared to these blocks and wire and everything. And I got all the other ones glued up, ready to drill a hole for these little eye bolts that go in there. So, making one up, I noticed that it's not easy. So I decided I'd go ahead and do all the blocks ahead of time. Then I can just drill and glue them in. And then that'll get them ready to mount. There's a little rope that goes across the butt of the cannon with some eyelets on it, but I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet. But I did want to show you today how I was doing them little blocks. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to do one for you so you'll be able to see the process to be able to duplicate it in your build or in another application. Doing stuff like that away from a workbench visor or out in the open with tweezers is not very productive. So let me get the camera in here. I may have to adjust this a little bit. Trying to get it where you can see. And let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. And other than this camera being in the way of my arms swinging around and stuff, we'll try to deal with it as it comes. So first we're picking a block and we're placing the block in there with the thread hole away from where the eyelet is going to be. And then ahead of time, using this piece of wire here, which is pretty stiff in the vise, ahead of time I made up 4 times or 3 times 8, 24. But I had to make up a bunch of these so we can do the blocks quickly and do them ahead of time, all one shot. And I'm just taking a piece of wire and twisting it around that bar and cutting the tail. Go to the next one. So with that bar handy, I'm going to use that again here when we go to put the eyelet hole on there. So 2 pair of pliers. One we're going to hang on each end of this little loop, and we'll feed it up through there or down, whatever. Get a good grip on that wire on both ends, and then pull it tight around the butt of that block in the right spot. Get the twist started where you want it, and then twist it twice. Move this into place, and that's why I got the clamp there, just to hold that so I don't have to try to hold it, because I only got 2 arms and 2 hands. And then once that bar is in place, we repeat that process of twisting twice again. And then we're going to cut off the excess. Pull that bar out. Save it for the next one. And grab an eyelet. These eyelets are not too small compared to ones I've worked with before. And I just want to spread it open a little bit so that I can get it into that loop that we made there. And then grab it with the pliers, because if you try to grab it with your hand's too big. To make it stay in position while you close it back up. And make sure it is closed up. You don't want it to come off later on. And that's how we do them. And we'll just drill a hole into the cannon base block and put some glue on there and stab this in the hole. And we'll have our block ready for tackle when we get to running the tackle everywhere. So now we got those ready. I'm going to take 7 of these cannons and set them up in the drill, and we'll very carefully drill these holes with this it's like 3/4 of a millimeter, 0.75 or 0.8 millimeters, and it's just a shade point bigger than the hole, or than the eyelet. And we want to do one on each side and then flip it up and do one on the back end. I got it raised up now for doing all the back end ones. This clamp will come off when we go to work on these. And we'll just drill a hole there in the back end. And then after we get all the back ends done, we'll lower it down, and using this block here to help keep it steady, we'll do the ones on the side. Once we get all them holes drilled, then we'll just sit down and start gluing them in and make it look like this one here. Okay, this is probably not the last step, but it's definitely finishing up what it was looking like in the drawings on the screen. So make a loop. It's moving on me and I don't want it to. And there's a little rabbit on the end of that cannon butt. And I'm trapped in that rabbit just barely. And it called for 80 millimeters between the 2 eyelets. So I made it 90 so I could accommodate this loop that I'm doing around there, which is probably just about right, I guess. So that's number 8. Yep. So those are done until we install them and lace up whatever rope's gonna lace up. I gotta get you up, don't I? Up and close. So we got all the pieces on there to match this, with the exception that they were cutting off the tail on those eye bolts. And I look forward in the plans to understand why. Right now, these 2 ropes have an eye bolt with the tail sticking out of the bolt, so you can bolt it into the wall, drill a hole. And I'm looking at the plans that show the cannon mounted on the deck, and I need to zoom in on this too, but theoretically the ones down on the second deck below are going to be a lot harder to install, but we'll worry about that when we get there. The main thing right now is, obviously, if there's an eye bolt or some kind of eyelet on the end of that block, you should be able to stick a pin in the wall or some way to attach it to the wall. That's the main thing I was worried about. Is up on the top deck, you probably got to have a lot more access to be able to drill in there and mount the eye bolt into the wall or into the deck. So, but at least we didn't cut the tail off the bolt. We can use it if we need to. And back to our directions for next week. It looks like we're cutting some burlap material or something, sail material, burlap material, and making another capstan. Thank you there, subscriber, for telling me what this little thing was called. It looked like a helicopter. The capstan. We got the cannons all done. There's a capstan on the top deck, so I guess that next capstan is going to go down on the middle deck. And I'm not sure what this is. I'm going to have to research it. It's got a loop of rope on the ends and a shape to it. What's that got to do with a capstan? There's a deck cover and some buckets and drums. So we'll find out later on what that little cloth is for. It's sort of leaves you hanging unless you spend hours figuring out what's going on. So all these ones with cannons here, got them pinned into the wall of the gunny wall of the ship or the railing. What else is new this week? I've been building stuff. Yeah, I spent 2 days getting ready to put the baby chickens back here in the runs in the coop with the other ones. So we're going to let the other ones rule over here on the right side. I'm going to wait another week or so before I bring them in. But I added this door here inside the coop and a chicken wire separator that goes all the way over to the wall on both sides, and they can still get, the big chickens can still get into their nesting box. The henny penny's in there right now, but this will allow me to put the baby chicks in here with some feed and water, and they can get outside into that run, and I keep them separate from the big chickens until they get a little bigger. The little ones got to grow up more before we can let them be together. But it's a good idea to raise them where they can see each other and get used to each other for a while before we let them get together. Right? Are you done laying an egg? Huh? Can I come in here and check? Yep, there's a nice, fresh, warm egg. Oh, look at that. Looks like somebody was a little destructive and broke an egg that's in there. Did you break that egg? Now I'm going to have to clean that up. We got 2 yesterday, and none the day before because I was in there working all day. They didn't like me being in there working all day. But we will have to change the bedding in that nest. Busted egg in there. Let's see the cannons on this one. They're just sitting there. There's no ropes at all on that one. He's got just the one block and not the one in the back. One on each side. I was probably supposed to put one in the back though, yeah? It didn't show it in my plan. That was why I utilized them bolts that were on the deck to strap down the lifeboat instead of hooking the cannon up. So, but that's an example of inadequate information. Thanks for watching.